Step back. Forget whether a certain French IMF bigwig might be horny. He is in trouble, serious trouble. Focus more on the NASDAQ today, blowing the surrender bugle, because we're all in trouble, and I think even more serious trouble. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto, and here's the deal. No deal. NASDAQ and Intercontinental Exchange bowing out of their big board bid because they ran into an...
Take care of you.
All right, well, the International Monetary Fund Executive Board gathering today in Washington to figure out what to do with its chief as Dominique Strauss-Kahn heads to New York's infamous Rikers Island jail, wondering what's to become of his life. The IMF head and, we were told, future potential French president charged with assaulting a New York City hotel maid, then trying to sneak out of the country. Word is now, well, he ain't leaving the country anytime soon. But Wall Street pro Tom Belesis says that Strauss-Kahn's already damaged lots of countries, having nothing to do with his alleged sex exploits. In fact, long before this incident, he was causing a lot of incidents. So, Tom, he had a lot of just business baggage. Explain.
He did. I mean, the problem here, and I think it's a bigger problem, and it unfolds two ways. You got the short-term problem and the long-term problem. Now, you have the IMF, who's been the biggest player for the restructuring of Greece's debt and the other countries, and the biggest supporter of the bailouts. Now, their top guy, fact or fiction, is out of the game. So now you have to ask yourself...
So you assume he's going to be permanently out of the game?
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? Now you have to ask yourself, if the IMF is weakened financially or by its leadership, and if they don't get what they want, this is going to spell big trouble for Greece, Portugal, and Ireland. Now, if there's a domino effect because they default in their bonds, now this could have a ripple effect to all these European banks holding these bonds, and it's not going to cause the U.S. to be immune because we will feel it. It's going to be a global meltdown all across the world.
Do you want to know a couple of my crackpot theories on this?
Please.
I think he knows where a lot of financial bodies are buried. And if it looks like he's going to the slammer and he feels that he's going to go down, he's going to take a lot of folks with him. And he knows a lot of questionable IMF interactions with our Fed, with the European Central Bank. We could go on and on about this.
You're right.
And he might try to exact out of that some concessions that either return him to France or escape U.S. jurisdiction. I think it would be a Hail Mary pass on his part. But nevertheless, I think there's more fallout from this for the IMF.
I do too. Now let's take a look at the longer term problem, which I think people got to focus on, and they're not. People are not talking about the fact that these developing countries want someone that's non-European and non-American heading these organizations. They're saying the IMF and the World Bank are paying too much attention to Europe. So what happens next year when we have an election for the president of the World Bank? His term expires, and we have the new head of the IMF. Now, if they're non-European or non-American, now
well, Lipsky as an American interimly takes over. Right?
He is, but he last month made his announcement that he's going to resign at the end of August. So he's a temporary solution, and that's fine.
But whoever takes over, I've heard that as well, that it wouldn't be a European or American player. And the IMF, we should explain to folks, is dominated by European and American, or more to the point, American and European money. Then what happens? Do we let a Portugal go? Do we let an Ireland go? Do we let a Greece go?
Right, and that's the $64 million question, because if we let these countries now default, it's going to have a ripple effect all over the world, and we don't want that. We're coming out of that. We don't want to reverse engineer, go back to where we were 6 months ago when we were getting out of this thing. So it's a situation that we have to focus on and pay very clear attention to.
Do you think that it's the stuff that unravels markets? I mean, our markets was down today. I mean, the European markets are kind of just soft, but hardly supremely punctured. They're getting through this, or what?
I think the markets will get through this. I think overall, longer term, it's it's something that's going to pass us by, as the bailouts did and the defaults in those countries. But I think right now it's in the media, and people are focusing on what's going to happen now. And like you said, what bodies are going to come out from Mr. Khan, and if he does throw out anyone under the bus, what ripple effect that could have for the rest of those countries.
You know what I love about you, Tom? You're a great student of market history, which is probably why you're a movie star now. Wall Street too, and everything else. But I connected the Rajaratnam thing, where it could be sort of a potential death knell for hedge funds, or at least a new opening to investigate their practices. And then this development.
Sure.
It is going to cast a sort of a sordid view, an eye on this business, on Wall Street and the way it operates, on capitalism and the way it operates, right?
Neil, I mean, that's a great point, but I don't think so. I mean, you either play by the book or you don't. If you don't, you're going to face the repercussions.
But perception is everything. I agree
You're
with you.
right. Perception, right.
Hedge funds are hardly the way Raj worked, and it's fair to say that not everyone, in this case, allegedly chases chambermaids. But it casts an image.
It does. Unfortunately, we have to wear the black eye for guys like Raj and the IMF chief. When they do something bad, it casts a black shadow over the guys that do good things. But you know what? There are great people out there that do great things in the market. So people got to focus on that, not the guys that do bad things. The guys that do bad things are going to get what they deserve.
You're pitching Wall Street 3, aren't you? All right. Tom, thank you very much. Tom Belesis, one of the good guys on Wall Street. When we come back, you are looking live at Washington, D.C. It is still there. Here is 6th Avenue in New York City. Cars are still moving. Chicago, a new mayor, well, still cursing. All business as usual on a day we were told nothing would be usual because of something very unusual, something so scary. Life as we know it would stop. Today, one question. Why didn't it?